Hello, my spiritual beings, and welcome to Deeply Divine, where we dive into topics that are deeper than the eyes can see. So, do you all know someone who expects constant admiration? They can't take what they dish, and they are extremely manipulative. Well, these might be a few signs that you got a narcissist on your hands. Narcissistic personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking behavior and a lack of empathy and consideration for other people. And they have this excessive need for admiration. Narcissism isn't to be confused with self-love and confidence, because a person who is confident and loves their self to the core will also exude that positively radiant energy towards other people, no matter what the circumstances are. A person who has a solid emotional relationship with their true self is only interested in cultivating more of that good energy and spreading love and helping their fellow humans. The narcissist, on the other hand, is self-loathing, insecure, and needs to feel validated to feel good. These people will go to any length for validation and attention, or they'll even try to sabotage those around them. These are definitely some overt signs of narcissism. So now, what about the not so obvious signs that you might be dealing with a narcissist, or as they say, the wolf in sheep's clothing? The coworkers or quote unquote friends or even family members that sucker punch you with their covert narcissistic behavior. Here are 10 subtle signs that you might be dealing with a narcissist. Number 1, they mock or imitate you. This one is a little tricky to spot right away because it's not uncommon for two people to have things in common. That's normal. You can very well be organically drawn to the same things as another person. In fact, we tend to form bonds with those who share, the same likes and interests as ourselves. But if you're starting to notice a person mocking you and the things you do or imitating you with the intention to compete with you or one-up your ideas, this person is more than likely exhibiting the subtle narcissistic trait of mocking and imitation. Now, narcissists usually don't have a sense of self. So they're constantly trying to emulate other people in an attempt to obtain what the next person has, especially if they're threatened by the success of others. The second subtle sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they say one thing, but their body language says something completely different. So let's say you share some good news with the narcissist. Maybe you found a new job, or maybe things are just going really well for you and you want to share it with someone, and for some reason you decided to share it with the narcissist. An emotionally secure person will be elated and excited for you, and you'll be able to tell that that person is genuinely happy for you and, whatever it is that you have going on. A narcissist, on the other hand, will congratulate you, but the expression on their face won't match the words coming out of their mouth, or their tone won't sound very convincing. Some people do express emotions differently, and that's understandable, especially if they're more on the introverted side. But if you tell someone you're close that, something good is going on in your life and they don't so much as smile, then they're probably not truly happy for you. This subtle narcissistic trait can also be found in the work environment. This might be the person who greets you one day and then acts completely annoyed with you the next day. Or they seem cool with you, but you catch them glaring at you from across the room. Oh my gosh, that is so annoying. So if you're not aware of this subtle narcissistic trait, this can be very frustrating because their behavior makes you question whether or not you've done something wrong. And this is very manipulative. This is emotional manipulation. It's important not to take this sort of behavior personally, because how a narcissist feels about you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with how they truly feel about themselves. The third subtle indication that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they blow everything you say completely out of proportion. This narcissistic trait stems from deeply rooted low vibration energy. This can be anger, envy, or jealousy, and the list goes on. The low vibration narcissist spends most of their time basking in their negative emotions. These people look for the slightest reason to project their emotions on other people because they simply just don't know how to deal with them on their own. Psychologically, and I'm no psychologist, I just do a lot of reading on this stuff. Psychologically, these are the types of people who probably never felt heard as a kid. And as a result, they repressed their emotions. This trait is actually more common than you think. But an emotionally mature person, someone who is more evolved spiritually and mentally, knows how to manage their emotions and doesn't allow environmental factors to dictate their emotional freedom and their mental freedom. On the contrary, trying to hash things out with a narcissist or trying to resolve an issue or misunderstanding with them seems nearly impossible because they can be very argumentative. And honestly, this narcissistic trait is kind of sad because when you do recognize it and, when you do know where it stems from, it kind of makes you feel sad for the person because you know that their childhood probably wasn't the best, or they probably were neglected as kids and didn't feel like they were being heard. And so as a result, they carry that into adulthood and lash out on other people. So it's a really sad dynamic. And I sincerely do pray for people who have dealt with childhood neglect, because it is a real thing, and some people just don't know how to deal with the hurt from that neglect. The fourth sign that you are dealing with a narcissist is they can never admit they're wrong, or they'll never say sorry for something they did. This narcissistic trait comes in the form of victimization. This person is constantly playing the victim. And I'm sure most of you have dealt with someone like this in your lives. The narcissist with this trait is generally one to sugarcoat the details to make themselves seem like the victim. They're usually the ones going around telling people that you're mad at them and you blew up on them, but they'll leave the detail out where they did something to make you mad in the first place. Like, they won't tell people that, but they'll go around telling people, oh, well, he or she is mad at me and blah, blah, blah. I don't know why she's mad at me, but they won't tell people what they did. Very frustrating. The fifth sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they guilt you into giving them things, or they offer you gifts and favors with strings attached. You'll recognize this narcissist trait in those who don't give from the heart. They'll give you something expecting something else in return every single time. In some cases, they'll give you things to establish, this sort of power over you where, at the moment, they're like, okay, I'm going to give you this, and, they'll make it seem like it's so sincere, but really they're trying to establish power over you so that they could either go around telling people, oh, well, I helped her out and I did this for her. Why isn't she helping me? And so there's always some strings attached to whatever it is they give you. And then the moment you don't agree, or the moment they don't agree with what you say, or let's say you did something that pissed them off, they might even take the gift back. Oftentimes, people with this trait, they will paint the idea that you can come to them for anything. Oh, you can ask them for help. And the moment you do, they're completely unavailable. The sixth subtle sign that you might be dealing with the narcissist is they'll write their insulting comments off as jokes. They make really below the belt comments about you, and then they completely act like it was a joke. This trait can actually throw you off guard, especially if the person is overly sarcastic. These people usually try to seamlessly bubble in their insults with the conversation. So it takes a really good ear to notice this narcissistic trait because it is very subtle. The seventh subtle sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they never say thank you. As I mentioned earlier, narcissists are usually very arrogant and self-centered. It pains these people to say thank you or sorry because they operate from a place of the ego. They struggle with expressing gratitude or showing consideration for others. This is so hard for them. To do that means to dim their own light, or at least that's what they think. The eighth sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they speak in riddles. Oh my gosh, you guys, I've had this happen to me and it is so trippy. If you aren't aware that it's going on, you'll completely think it's an innocent conversation when really the narcissist will appear as if they're telling, some random story that happened throughout their day about something that either happened at work or whatever. But really, they're addressing you about something that they're not mature enough to be direct about. And it's so weird. Once you notice it, it's just so trippy, how people could actually speak in riddles instead of just being an adult and addressing you about something. The ninth subtle sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they force things in common with you, or they'll love bomb you. Let's say you post a picture, or you're someone who posts frequently on social media. This is usually the person that's overly commenting or just doing so much that it doesn't seem genuine. Now, this one is a little hard to spot because some people do this, and when they do, they can just be trying to make friends, and they just might not be good at making friends. And so they go about it this way, love bombing or forcing things in common with you. So I'll give, people with this trait the benefit of the doubt, because some people just don't know how to make friends. And so they think they have to, sort of people please to make friends instead of being themselves. But a narcissist will do this for their own personal gain. This is usually their way of trying to get close to you in an attempt to learn vulnerable things about you that they can use against you later on. Or they'll paint this idea that you guys are cool, especially if they're going to benefit from the quote-unquote friendship in some way. The best example of this is what's called a clout chaser. So let's say you are, you're someone who is in high society, you have connections with, the higher ups, and I hate using that word because I don't like titles, but you guys know what I mean. Let's say you have connections with people who are financially well off. These narcissists will try to fake a friendship with you, or whatever it is they do to try to get close to you. They'll try to force it just to be a part of your circle, or to be a part of whatever it is that you have going on. This is their thing. They only want to be surrounded by people they can benefit from in some way, shape, or form. The 10th and final subtle sign that you might be dealing with a narcissist is they only celebrate you in private. These people will never overtly celebrate you because deep down it pains them to see that you are climbing up the ladder and your level up journey. And so they can't publicly celebrate you because of how bad they've talked about you behind your back. They want to see you do good, but they don't want to see you do better than them. So some of these traits can very easily be a bad habit. We all have bad habits. It's normal. It's human nature. However, normal, emotionally healthy people are aware of their bad habits and make a conscious choice to work past them. A narcissist is fully aware of their bad habits and how it affects those around them, but their self-absorption causes them to be completely oblivious to their behavior. They just don't care. They're aware of these habits and they just don't care. So if you ever find yourself a victim to their spiteful behavior, never take it personally. Never exert energy towards the negativity of a narcissist, because the only person that can heal these people are themselves. On the road to self-mastery and becoming your greatest self, it is essential to self-reflect and build a healthy and positive relationship with your emotions and internal dialogue, because how you choose to respond in any situation isn't a reflection of those around you, but rather a reflection of how you feel about yourself. So love yourself passionately, exude radiant energy, and don't forget to be awesome.